Morning, everyone. Welcome to the January 16th Economic Development Authority meeting. I'm sorry, January 16th. Why don't we just go back, turn it off, and I'll start over. February 20th. We have a rather large agenda here. We're going to go through all of this. And also, we have some agenda items from the retreat that we're going to pick up in March around some of the community initiatives, a database. We're looking for minority contractors and discussion around capital funding. So, and we also want to talk about Commissioner Brown's golf tournament that he brought up a few months ago. So we have not forgotten those things, and they will occur in the month of March. So why don't we go with the roll call?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning. Mr. Barber. Here. Mr. Mitchell.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Mr. Saunders Smith.
Here.
Mrs. Smith is absent. Ms. Boone.
Here.
And Mr. Jay.
Here.
Here we have a quorum.
I trust that everyone's had an opportunity to look at the January 16th minutes. If there are no changes, I move for adoption of the minutes.
Second.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith is absent. Ms. Boone.
Yes.
And Mr. Jay. Here, the item is approved by a vote of 6-0. We do not have anybody from finance, but we do have a financial matter on the agenda. And if you recall, at your January meeting, the finance department and our auditors were present to present the results of the FY 23 financial audit. And that has been finalized. I believe that was emailed out to you last week. There's also a copy here on the table. Mr. Miller has advised us that there is a need to vote to accept the audit in its final form. I don't believe there are any subsequent changes that have occurred since it was presented to you in January, but there's a copy here. But as a formality, I do believe we need to have that accepted.
You'll move.
Second was Mrs. Saunders Smith, I believe. I can read the roll here.
Yes.
Mr. Barber. Aye. Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Boone.
Yes.
Mr. James.
Yes.
The item is adopted by a vote of 6-0.
Before we go into old business, Commissioner Smith, I just want to let everyone know is a little under the weather. That's why she's not here today. And also we have with us from the Hampton Roads Alliance, their business development director, Cliff Obley, who will be joining us from time to time throughout this year.
Thank you for having me.
We also will go in our old business. We're going to talk about the North Pier, and we have a presentation.
We do. Thank you, Chair. The North Pier at Zero Harbor Center Court in 2019, this property, which was formerly owned by the Economic Development Authority, was conveyed to Fairlead Integrated, which is a Portsmouth headquartered company, and the adjacent owner of the what was the former Ocean Marine Yacht Center on Wavy Street. This conveyance was done to aid in their expansion and establishment of a new business line at Wavy Street. And we do have here with us this morning Mr. Jim Bento of Fairlead. He's going to be making a presentation on their activities at Wavy Street, and then in addition to that, something that is going to be required for their future growth there. When the property was conveyed, there were some restrictions that were placed on the property with respect to the use of that pier. And as they have expanded their operations, and grown, there's a need to kind of revisit those restrictions. So with that, Jim, I'm going to turn it over to you and ask you to present and provide an update.
Just wanted to note one thing also, just so you're aware, this is a closed session item also, so please feel free to ask Mr. Bento any questions you have, but if you want to discuss the ask, you can do that in closed.
Okay.
Thank you and good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Staff. I'll go through this pretty quickly. What we're sorry. So what's driving this at is that the shipbuilding industry, as we read all the time, we hear on the news, is way behind for the carriers and strategic submarines. So this first slide, they're kind of complicated, but I just wanted to show on the left in the 1976 to 1996, in 20 years, our industry delivered 1.3 million tons of ship to the Navy. Then shipbuilding fell off from 1997 to 2016, only 440,000 tons were delivered. And the Navy's expectation now to bring up the shipbuilding where it needs to be is we've got to go over 900,000 tons in the next 20 years, starting actually 2 years ago. And everything has got to move to the left. It can't move any further to the right. So on the little chart on the right, it just shows that the only way that the Navy and Congress has felt like they could do it is for smaller companies, they call them auxiliary campuses, to help Newport News and the Electric Boat build the aircraft carriers and the submarines. So there's the Virginia class submarine program that still needs to be finished. We've got the CVN program, CVN 80, the new Enterprise, and 81 are going to be built at the same time. And then on top of that, we have a new class of boomer submarine coming out, the Columbia class. So all of those ships, we've got to really ramp up in this country to meet that need. So spare lead, I don't want to go through kind of what our locations are and what we do here in Portsmouth. So one of the things that we do for Newport News and Electric Boat is a lot of panel fabrication. So you can look at this room here and you can see that it's made of all kinds of different types of panels. And that's the way we're building the ships. They're all modular. We build the panels, then we put the panels together, become modules, ship it to Newport News, and it gets integrated into the aircraft carrier or the submarine. So we have a fabrication facility in Victory, Chautauqua Avenue, and Wavy Street here in Portsmouth. And next door here at Wavy Street, where the old Ocean Marine Yacht Center is, and those big buildings, is where we take those modular pieces once they're put together and do some preservation on them, get them ready. They may hold at Ocean or at the Wavy Street for 6 months, or they may need to wait for 2 years. And if they need to go longer, we'll barge them over to the facility in Norfolk, which I'll explain to you. And they're stored there until Newport News or Electric Boat needs them. So then we outfit at Wavy Street as well. So when we build a module, the Navy has found that it's still slowing things down. So they're now asking us to put some of the basic piping, electrical ductwork, HVAC in them, so that the module is even more ready to go once they incorporate it into the carrier. Again, I'll go into more of the storage, which is a huge problem. Everybody's having the land problems right now, the storage stands. And then we're doing the logistics and transportation from Portsmouth over to Newport News by barge and tug for the pieces. Some of these pieces weigh over 100 tons. And so it's the only way to move them. They're too big to truck. Everything has to go by barge. So I mentioned storage. What Fairlead has done is we got 130 acres over in Norfolk, the old Lambert's Point facility. And NNS, Newport News Shipbuilding, has rented that 8-acre piece you see from at least from us to store these large pieces of aircraft carrier and submarines on that property. We take them over there by barge. They may wait a year or two before they're even put into the hull of the next CVN. So while we're building them, the challenge is at Wavy Street, we have to store the pieces, the panels to even build the module. And so it takes a lot of room. And so we told the Navy that we'll use Wavy Street as a buffer, hold the pieces that we're building until they're complete, do the preservation on them, then we'll move them out by barge either to the Norfolk facility or all the way to Newport News to be incorporated. And just a footnote, at Fairwinds in Norfolk, we don't have any employees over there. That's simply a lease. So all the employment is at the Wavy Street, and I'll show you more about that. So this, it's a busy chart, but if you just look past all that, it's a manning chart. And so the challenge that we've had to build these ships, we've become an auxiliary carrier campus for Newport News. So the challenge is manning up to that status. So you can see that we have to add, what we're under contract to do is add 14 additional resources each month, new employees, until we get to about a steady state of 200 people to start to work on these fabrication and construction of the modules. So that's, we're under contract to do that, and we should be ramped up to that by September of this year. And those employees will either be at the Wavy Street facility or the Chautauqua facility, and probably about 20 more at the Victory Boulevard facility. We did start a panel line at the Victory Boulevard facility just recently. And all of this, and then I mentioned CVN 81, the newer carrier coming out. We have to start ramping up materials and plans on that by April of 2025. So that's going to be another increase in manning. But these 200 employees, it's probably about 225 when you start in project manager and some of the engineering we have to do. Will be right here next door at Wavy Street. So a little history on what we've done in the past couple of years. Fairlead made a $25 million investment. Part of that was the purchase, the Wavy Street facility. We did a lot of improvements over there. The big buildings are now completely put new HVAC in them. They're completely climate controlled. Cleaned up the entire facility and made a lot of different improvements so that we could facilitate handling these big pieces. Part of that is we bought some cranes. We've got a 160-ton crane. We've got a 300-ton crane, and we're investing in cobots, which is mechanized welding. A lot of different things. The electrical service over there couldn't handle all the welding, the new welding facility, so we had to upgrade that with Dominion Energy. They helped us do that. And then electric boat helped us with the environmental improvements. And Newport News, we built a mobile welding lab. And it's a very interesting. It's a tractor trailer. It's got, the welding stations in it, and we do a lot of training in that. We can take it to shows, we can, trade shows, and get young people interested in what we're doing. But yeah, another crane. We've got a 400-ton crane coming as well, and so there's a lot of improvements. We've got another 13 million budgeted to go into this program in the next 2 years. Yeah, right. So, when Brian was talking about the project, this was the project that we first proposed and came to and got this approved to build this on the North Pier. It's a fab trying to match the one that's already there just across our Wavy Street plant. This was a building that the Newport News asked us to put up through the development funds for construction. This program has got pushed far to the right just because they funded other things they needed to do quicker, like our welding improvements and coming up with all the new, they're huge welding stations. One of the other improvements we've done in one of the buildings is to put 6 overhead cranes to handle these pieces. So this project was shifted to the right, and this is what we would like to do today. We're asking for two things. We're asking if we could move the original request that you approved to the right by 5 years. And in the meantime, second ask is that we could improve the north pier to look like this, to put up the screening and put up some shrubbery and trees and use that north pier as we talked about, a buffering and storage facility for the pieces that we have in place already. Because we're just running out of room and NNS is requiring us to do this. And so we'd like to do this at Wavy Street because that's where we produce the pieces. That's where the employee had to move this somewhere else. It put a lot of steps and a lot of expense into the process, and would make our customer exactly happy. So that's our ask, is if we can go back and move this facility 5 years out, we would have this engineered starting in 5 years, and then we have it built and underway by 2031. And in the meantime, if we could do the buffering and the screening that we had originally offered, use this as a storage facility for those 5 years until we get the supplier development funding from NNS to construct the facility. Take any questions you may have.
I have a cosmetic question. Will the items that you have, will they be taller than the screening that is there?
That's a good question. So what we had proposed to do is to keep the items, we can even proffer a certain height if that would help. The way this works is you take just a panel of steel and you start reinforcing it with T-bar and you get your welding done. That's a huge amount of laid down area until you actually fold it up and turn it into a box. And so what we could do is store the big pieces on this north pier, but it necessarily wouldn't protrude up past the screening board. So we'd be happy to offer that. But, we're just running out of room. The whole reason that we're an auxiliary carrier campus for Newport News is they completely run out of room. I don't know if when you go across the bridge, if you look over there, they've built all the way to the north. They can't build any further. They don't have any room at this point to do any other construction. So that's part of the reason for these supplier development funds and part of the reason why we are expanding as quickly as we are.
I don't know whether this is final. I'm intrigued with your operation and I was wondering if it would be possible to take a tour of the facility at some point in time.
I would love that. And if anytime, would love to show you that because it really kind of comes home when you see the size of these things and maneuvering a 400-ton crane to pick up a, huge 50 or 60, 70-ton piece of steel and move it, and you have to flip it weld both sides. It's a pretty amazing operation. So I would invite anyone to come and contact me, and I'll be happy to. I do probably 2 or 3 tours a week at least. So, be happy to do that.
The 200 additional employees that will be associated with this project, is the buffering area a requirement for those employees to be hired?
It's a big support piece because without the buffer area, that extra acre we need to get that material out of the way, the less weld stations we'd be able to have, the less employment we'd be able to do, the less we would produce for the acre. And it's exactly the same problem they're having. The only reason that they're asking us and other companies to become auxiliary campuses is because they can no longer, they could hire more people, but they don't have a place to put them and they don't have laydown areas. So, and what we came up with, just to reiterate, is the Norfolk piece is really good for us because that's 8 acres that we can then take out of our buffer zone. Once those pieces are built, put them on a barge and store them in Norfolk. But all the fabrication, all the employment is at Wavy Street, Chautauqua Avenue, and Victory Boulevard. We don't have any employees working at NNS has their employees over there monitoring their own pieces, doing their own ones.
Is there any environmental issues with this? Dust, anything that comes as a
Yeah,
result?
we, in fact, I'd be happy to share that with you, but we have a pretty large EHS, division and we're, you know, we're constantly monitored by EPA, and, Department of Environmental Quality, DEQs, you know, I mean, we work with them all the time. So it really isn't, in the, any of the preservation and any of that kind of work is completely done indoors and everything is 100% built.
Do we have a picture of what that area looks like now? Is it just the concrete? I mean, what does it look like?
Ms. Tracy, if we can go back to, I think, the first slide in this presentation, there's an aerial view. There you go. If you can make that out, there's really not, much there. This photo is dated. The pier in some sections has actually, over time has collapsed. And Jim can probably describe exactly where the land is.
This piece here, this whole piece, you can see the cave in here. And this whole piece has now collapsed and we spent over $150,000 and cleared all of that concrete out, cleaned all of that up. And so the pier, to your point, right now looks exactly like that. It's just a concrete slab. And our proposal is this is an apron and this center section, that center acre is over land. So it's very safe. And we took boring samples to make sure it would hold the weight. And that geodetic study's been done. It's fine. But that whole apron and all has collapsed. So just to give you an idea of what it would take to restore that pier and get it ready to build the fabrication building on is just the last estimate I had was a few years ago, was 8 million. So it's probably closer to 10 million at this point to just do the restoration on the pier and its strength and pilings to be able to build on. That would exclude build.
Your final project will include a recreational area that doesn't exist now. Your final project will include a recreational area, you said? It goes from industrial to recreational?
No, it's just what we were talking about is the buffer. What we offered was the screening in the buffer because we do respect that the pavilion is here and the marina is there. So we want to be good corporate neighbors and put in some nice buffering and things against the recreational area. We want to make sure that we do have a covenant in place that we have to shut down operations an hour before and an hour beyond any concert or event at the pavilion. We can't make any noise or anything, an hour before any of those events.
And this might be a good opportunity to talk about the process. Obviously, this item is before you because there is a restricted covenant that was established when the property was conveyed. In addition to that, because of the nature of this use, which is outdoor storage, there is a requirement for a additional use permit to be obtained. And that has been applied for by Fairlead, which is an item that would need to go before the Planning Commission and City Council. So in terms of process, we felt it was appropriate to bring this before you now, as they're starting that process, so that it could be presented, discussed.
Yeah, just one little technical correction. I believe what needs to go before council is a proper, because when this was rezoned a few years ago, there was a proffer that would be built in accordance with the plans at that time, which included a building. And so obviously you couldn't not build the building with that zoning, and what will be sought through the proper application, amendment application, is to be able to use the property effectively for outdoor storage, as Ron said.
Chair, what legally do we need, what from our end needs to happen?
Well, there are two things that EDA has. Number one, we did put, as Brian said, a number of covenants on the property. Most of those covenants, Fairlead is not asking to change. That includes covenants like the aesthetic view to the north and west, no onerous noise, dust, etc. Those they're not asking to change. We also had a repurchase right, which is triggered on 5 years from the date of closing. This closed in February 2021. It would be triggered in February 2026. And so I think their main ask of EDA is to say, can we extend the February 2026 date out to February 2031?
That's correct. They're not asking to change any of those covenants, just 35-year extension.
Okay, and I have a question kind of a little outside of what your ask is. With the acceleration of the employees, what are y'all putting in place to try to make that happen? Think so?
So I mentioned the weld lab. So we do a lot of our own training. We are working with a lot of, the shipyards have their training programs, which they share with us now because they need us. We're working with TCC. We're working with VISRA. We actually hired a vice president of growth, and I wish he were here because he could actually go through all the different agencies that we're working with. But we're working with all youth groups on through TCC, and a lot of different training facilities. So I mean, it's a broad program that we can start someone that's already got training from a shipyard, and we can start someone that doesn't know steel from. So we've spent a lot of time and effort on that. Said even hiring a vice president to do nothing but concentrate on the growth. In addition to that, I think we've really over the past couple of years ramped up our benefits. Try to make it a really good place to work.
Additionally, the Navy is investing huge amounts of money in workforce development for the trades to build submarines and aircraft carriers. The Navy money is coming to Hampton Roads via the Hampton Roads Workforce Council. And the Workforce Council is working with pieces of the community to make those investments. So some of the money is being invested in the school system, some of the money is being invested in the Virginia Talent Pipeline. There's a bunch of activity that's being funded with Navy money.
So I just want to say that I think Jeff said it best, that our ask is twofold, is that we would like the 5-year extension. But we're not asking to change any of the covenants. But the second ask is that in that 5 years, we'd like to do our buffer and use that to store some of the pieces for these carriers on that pier. So that's our ask.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Jim.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
so much. I appreciate everyone's time.
And we'll bring this up again in our second. Brian's going to talk to us about 1220 High Street.
Yes, I just want to give you a quick update on the acquisition of 1220 High Street. This is the former Enterprise car rental facility in the Innovation District, which the EDA has had under contract. When we were before you previously, we had discussed a environmental report that was conducted and had identified a couple of areas of concern in the vicinity of this property. So we did a bit of a deeper dive. We had a full-blown phase 2 environmental site assessment. Stokes Environmental Associates prepared for the property to kind of look a little bit further and to determine if there were any conditions present on the property. So they actually went and did soil borings and tested the soil groundwater to determine if there were any hazards present. It did come back with a few findings, none of which were of substantial concern. It did eliminate a few things that we were concerned with as well, one of which was in the presence of dry cleaning byproducts, as there was a dry cleaners in the vicinity. That was not found to be present on the property. There is some petroleum contamination, the source of which is really kind of undetermined at this point, but it could have been a underground storage tank that was present somewhere along the property line, or potential migration from the 7-Eleven gas station next door. So there is some contamination. It's lower levels, does not appear to prevent the use of the property or pose any concerns for reuse of the property in its current state. However, if something was to be done in the future to redevelop this property, there would likely be a need to, address the soil issues at that time. So the recommendation from Stokes is that, again, they do not represent any risk to residential, commercial, industrial workers or uses occurring on the property. The findings do need to be reported to the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality as just a matter of process. But it's our recommendation that we move forward. I've spoken with Brian King and Dave Foster and Harvey Lindsay to see if they had any concern or input as it relates to issues and the marketing and use of the property. Both Brian and Dave came back and said they didn't feel that it was something that was a major concern. So, Dave, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but.
Well, I think you summarized it pretty well. I spoke with Dave Ballsy with Stokes as well, and after that report came out, and just from a broker's perspective of the property, based on the current, low levels of that petroleum contamination, using the existing structure in its current state poses no risk to commercial uses over there. In the redevelopment of the site, I think there may need to be some mitigation done over there potentially, but it's not substantial of concern. It would just be a cost to a developer. And, so from our perspective on a marketing standpoint, I don't think it's a major hindrance having that phase 2 report that we have.
Is the contamination limited to a specific area?
It is. They did multiple borings out there, and I think, the area that's of
Southern and eastern portions of it, kind of closer to the 7-Eleven over there.
high and the property line.
And Dave described it, and this is above my pay grade, but basically said that the findings did not report any free product, is what he described it as, which the free product is, I guess, the consistency that could spread on the site, and so they did not find anything like that.
Okay.
Any questions or concerns with moving forward? We are scheduled to close, I believe, March 15th is our current contract.
Well, our due diligence is through March 15th, so we actually have another, I think, 30 days beyond that if we need it. But we have another month, or not quite a month, but 3-4 weeks of due diligence technically still left.
Okay. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Just a quick update on the waterfront redevelopment efforts. We are working to finalize the market study that was presented to the board in January. So we are incorporating some of the comments and feedback that we received from the EDA. Then internally with city staff, we're working to collect everybody's comments to make sure that if there are any updates to the study, that those are included. So our goal is to have that wrapped up here by the end of February and have a final form of the study in March. After which, we would continue the conversation about moving forward with a formal solicitation process, and would expect that the March meeting, we would have some conversation about how we proceed with that.
Any questions?
We do have a couple of items we're going to add to the agenda on a quarterly basis. This kind of came out of the conversation we had at your retreat in January. Staff felt it would be helpful if we had some quarterly updates, similar as we would typically do with our financial reports, doing the same thing with some of our programs here in the Economic Development Department. So the first item is a workforce development update, and I'm going to ask Ms. Scully to join us to provide an update on some of the work that they're performing here in this office. Now,
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm excited to give this update. So I'm going to give the update since July of 2022. So since July, we have posted in this office and another office that we work with, Bond Secure, 20 hiring events with a total of 196 people with 37 direct hires from those events. A total of 454 individuals have come to Portsmouth at Work since July, asking for different services ranging from career services, assistance with their resume, coming to use the computers, attending workshops, and hiring events. There have been 78 referrals made to partnering organizations like Bond Secure's Patient Care Technician Program, the neighborhood, and all their various training programs that they also have, TCC Skills Trade Academy, and also Youth Build. We have upcoming events this year that we have planned, and we are partnering with different city departments. One being in March, we will have CTE career tours, where we'll take about 30 students from each high school in March 12th through the 14th to different companies or businesses in Portsmouth. And the point of the tour is to expose them that there are businesses in Portsmouth that they could get a job right after high school, and it doesn't require a 4-year degree. During the tours, they will look at the facility, learn about the business, learn about what they do, and also learn about what careers are available for them in that business. We will also hire our grads in April. The point of this is actually to have the businesses that attend interview the students that day. So we will work before that event to help them apply for the jobs ahead of time, and then we'll set up their interview that day. This will help increase the amount of students that will sign their hire letters on signing day, which is May 30th. So we're hoping this exposure to the tours, hire our grads, and helping them actually apply for the jobs ahead of time is going to increase that number, and a lot of students with Portsmouth Public Schools will graduate with a job. We also are in development of return to work career readiness program. This is for recently incarcerated or formerly incarcerated individuals, residents of Portsmouth that need a little bit more assistance. And this is a 4-day program that we're working with partnering organizations in Portsmouth, that they will sit in this room and have very intensified services like resume building, mock interviews, and they will also learn about services that are in the city that they could get, like behavioral health, different social services. And at the end of the last day, we will do a interview session with the second chance employers in the region, not just Portsmouth, but also different localities as well. And we'll also have Bond Secure bus outside for anyone that's uninsured to get a health screening as well. So by the time their last day, they will feel confident that they know how to apply for jobs, have a resume completed, and hopefully leave here with a job. That's the point, but at least they have the tools to get their, on their feet with that. Still to come and still in the works, I am working with Norfolk Naval Shipyard to do an apprenticeship application session for Portsmouth Public School students to help them and guide them through what the application process is. It is open. The deadline is April 15th, so we have a lot of work to do, but that's what we're hopefully going to offer to the students. Successes of this year so far, not just all the services that we have already done, but we did finish our dual city hiring expos. Last week was so we partnered with Norfolk Economic Development, Hampton Roads Workforce Council, and TCC. So in the collaboration, we had over 100 employers and over 400 job seekers attend both events. So last week was ours at TCC. I saw a lot of friendly faces there. It was a big success and very busy day. But a lot of people came in there confident, and we will know the results of those events in about 2 months because people still have to interview and go through the process of getting hired. And lastly, I have an ask of EDA. Youth Build is one of the programs that we support with Peoria and Shea, and they are have a love campaign where they're trying to support the individuals on Youth Build with different hygiene products and stuff. And I would love if EDA can support this initiative by possibly donating $500 to help them with the needs that the personal care needs that they are requesting with this campaign. Any questions?
That's an ambitious list of services that you've done. I had something in regards to the high school students who are able to announce that they have a job prior to leaving high school. Is there a formal recognition done by the high school similar to what happens when a person signs with athlete signs with the university? Do they do that?
Yeah, so they do have a signing day. It's going to be at Churchland High School on May 30th, where after all the stuff that we're going to do with the students, the employer and the student is going to be there and actually sign the hire letter that day. Mm-hmm. So we're hoping with all this activity that we're doing this year with CTE and Portsmouth Public Schools that the exposure and it's not hand holding, but the guidance that we give them will hopefully get the results and a lot more students hired and have a lot of employers that day.
So for perspective, last year's CTE signing day, we had 8 seniors sign jobs.
I remember you said it's kind of disappointing.
So our goal this year, and Ala has engaged the CTE advisory committee and the CTE team in Portsmouth Public Schools. So the events that she described try to get industry and kids to understand each other and kind of pair up. The goal is that we get way more than 8 kids to sign prospective job offers at this year's CTE signing day. So the work that Nala's been doing with our CTE team and with the Hampton Roads Workforce Council is going to be critically important to make those matches and hopefully help some of our kids walk away with real jobs at graduation time.
I know Latoya's our young resident.
Well, thank you. Say it again.
I know at one point we were talking about how to make that more interesting for young people. You know, I don't know if it needs to be on TikTok or whatever venue is out there today, but it seems like there's a need, there's a demand for those positions. If we can figure out a way to attract more young people to that, you know.
I brought some ideas up.
The career exploration, you're going to do that at the high school level kind of thing. Is there any plans to go down to the middle school level? Because of my understanding, it's important to expose them to the career opportunities before they get to high school.
Yeah, so I work with Star Victory with the middle schools, and that's the goal. It's like this first year getting to CTE, introducing them to different ideas and getting the students, exposed here. And then, like, later on, we'll go into middle school, and I think more of my involvement with different boards and, advisory committees, I'll be able to do that. And that is the goal, is to get them in middle school, because middle school is where, the career exploration is really impactful.
But there is a career exploration course offered to 7th and 8th grades. It's a half-year class. In fact, the Go Tech curriculum that we've inserted into originally Craddock, and now all 3 middle schools have Go Tech classrooms up and running. That's been introduced as an option for career exploration for the kids that might be interested in advanced manufacturing exposure.
Yeah, and then maybe just a smaller idea. I'm really just getting the kids to talk about it. Like, You know how when draft day come and everybody knows when it is. Same thing with this. Maybe post some things. Signing day is coming. Just kind of get them to say, well, what is signing day? When is that? Just to get them to talk about it. Maybe have, I don't know, we have any footage from last year to kind of show and just to kind of get them interested in what it is, because a lot of times people just want to be a part of something too, just to be honest. And if we make it like it's the biggest thing, like it is the NFL draft in Portsmouth, that would surely get people talking about it and getting involved. And what is signing day? How can I be a part of it? So just that little small advertisement, I think that'll go a long way, because the parents, they'll want to know what it is. The students, they'll want to know. Just maybe some posters. Maybe some, I don't know if we have a Portsmouth tweet account that the kids will follow, but, just some things like that. Just to get them talking about it would draw interest, and a person that they can go to, a point of contact when they want to know what is signing day, that they can go and get information from.
I'll bring that up. We have a CTE signing day.
Yeah.
So,
But signing day is coming, and then the kids, they'll start talking about what is that.
like the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And to Ms. Boone's point, we have been successful using Instagram, and then we just recently got a TikTok. So we track the number of hits that we, get from the students. So we know that they're, looking at our information.
Now, can you also, I'm sure you may have brought this up, but as far as internship programs, the YEP
Yeah.
program with CTE and
So
public schools?
Yeah, CTE has an entrepreneurship pilot program that they are working on now. So it's gonna start in middle school, where they'd be able to go to the college, do a summer camp, learn about entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
And then right now, we're actually working with CTE to recruit businesses. So this summer, they are going to offer 45 students in Portsmouth Public Schools to have a paid internship in Portsmouth. And it starts as soon as the end of June, and they can earn up to $5,000. Wow. So it is the stages of just getting, this week I'll be working to get the site agreements with the businesses. I went to different meetings with Brian last week, and I have about 20 businesses in Portsmouth that are interested. I'm still getting emails to host an intern. So if you know a business of Portsmouth that would like an intern, they may be seniors, maybe some juniors, but they are able to work as soon as June, and they're going to do 30 hours a week until they earn $5,000. So it's another opportunity for them to even learn if they want to be a business owner. They will do workshops of, how to do a startup, a business plan. They'll learn about it. And they even asked our staff to come in to talk about economic development in the city. So learning, you could actually do it working for a city or locality and how it looks like. So I'm very excited about that. It's a lot of things going on. And it's really exciting.
Thank you.
Yep.
And that's paid by Portsmouth Public Schools, so the employer is not actually paying that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's paid by Portsmouth Public Schools.
And where does the employer sign up if they want to with you? Okay.
Thanks, Noel.
I just want to ask, Cliff, I'll put you on. Does the Hampton Roads Alliance have something that says these are all the types of jobs in the Hampton Roads area, whether they're medical, service sector, and what areas are we struggling to fill those types of positions?
I know that we can speak directly to the data relating to the types of jobs, especially within the industry sectors that we have a primary focus in. I think, so the Hampton Roads Workforce Council is obviously a very big partner with our organization. And that's something I know that they are always keen on identifying and implementing strategies to overcome. So that might be more of a discussion for the Hampton Roads Workforce Council as far as identifying those inadequacies, let's call it. And I know that there's been plenty of discussion surrounding that. Oftentimes it's related to putting in for grant funding for particular programs, whether they're federal or otherwise.
Yeah, this is a problem. I have often used, Jobs EQ. They have a, portion of that, their services that lists the, what is advertised for hire. And by jurisdiction, and you can do it, and so that gives you the job classifications that are, being advertised, and which is a pretty good source. Gives you a good idea of what's in demand in a particular locality or a particular region.
And also you can go on the Virginia Employment Commission website and pull a report of what industry, and how many vacancies are there, like job vacancies, and I can show you how to do it.
The Jobs EQ not only uses that, but it uses like Indeed and some of the other ones that are, the private ones, which a lot of folks use, but I think is more comprehensive actually.
Yeah.
I had one follow-up question, Laura. You are just, first of all, you do such a great job. You do a lot. We're really so proud of all the work that you're doing. Do you have a component in there that deals with the Dress for Success?
So the Dress for Success, is, they're in Norfolk, the organization, and they had a flood. So I'm actually reaching out to her next month, the ED, to actually collaborate with her with different programs and get them to do the whole, because it is like a very targeted program for individuals on return to work. And it's something I did in my previous position, so that is a goal of mine to get them involved with different programming. If it could be, the return to work, or even like having Dress for Success in Portsmouth and having it hosted in our office.
I was going to say, and the reason why I went on to say that there are several community organizations, I'm sure that would assist you with that. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta and their AKAs, and they regularly do that kind of stuff in the community, and they may be willing to host something for you.
I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, good. Just to dovetail on that, excuse me. Does it exist, or have you had any conversations with trying to bring in multiple community groups? Because I know I'm a part of a men's group, and we work with some of the high school students as well. Is there any talk with pulling in all of those resources, or at least trying to contact them? Because I think a lot of people are chipping away at this situation, because when I talk to employers, they're saying they can't find the people. When I talk to young people, they're saying they can't find the jobs. So
it's making that connection, being that bridge.
yeah,
So
is there any bringing them together for actually the community groups, like the Delta Sigma Thetas? I'm a member of the Boule, pulling in some of those volunteers in one setting so we can work collectively.
So I haven't collectively pulled together community resources, but I'm working right now to do like city departments and different like mentorships that for the return to work program. But that if I could pull community resources for something like that to incorporate into that program, because we plan to have that program every quarter. And then eventually, it could be targeted to other, it could be for youth, adults. But I think that's a great idea that I could talk to Brian and possibly work with different community resources to do some type of programming. Because there has to be, in my mind, it has to be, workforce development driven. So I just have to think about a program that would be impactful to the community or the residents, and also how these community members or community resources will incorporate themselves in it. Okay. But I agree.
Maybe something, Malcolm, that we could take on some type of forum or conference or training or something to do that, because like you said, like he's saying, a lot of groups are nipping at it, and if we had one direction, it would definitely help. So that may be something we could focus on.
And it might be a way to expand the employers, because most of these groups are working for or with somebody.
Right.
And oftentimes, based on my conversations, a lot of employers, especially small businesses, they're so busy working that they know they need employees, but they need money more. So they're doing their jobs.
Yeah.
So I think if we could make it easier for them,
Mhm.
that would be, I mean, because the internship program that you mentioned is fabulous.
Yeah.
And I think the challenge is reaching down not only to high school students, but getting them in middle school. Because that's where the separation, I think, oftentimes occurs.
Yeah, in that program, it does start in middle school, entrepreneurship, so it starts in middle school, so that's, they already put that in the curriculum. So what we're doing, like our staff, we're helping that program with the businesses and getting the employers involved. So I think if you could develop another type of training that we get the community members involved, that, Portsmouth at Work does here. We could talk about it. Maybe if anyone has ideas, please shoot me an email. I love something like that.
Yeah, we would welcome the opportunity to help make those connections. I mean, it's easy for our office to get in front of somebody like Fairleigh, where they have a vice president dedicated to workforce development and hiring. But it's much more difficult to get in front of the 5,000 small businesses that we have in Portsmouth that may have those same needs, but just in terms of getting those connections is challenging because of the fact that they are small businesses and there's so many of them. So I think we would welcome that, absolutely.
I would like to move approval to, it was a $500 request.
Gotta get motion.
Thank you.
We'll definitely
Do
second.
you need a vote on that?
It's I vote on it. You have budget there.
We do. I think under economic development grant line, I think they've got a substantial amount of money that we can cover that. So the motion was to provide $500 to the youth bill love campaign. Thank you. And that was made by Mr. Barber. Was there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Alderson. Read the roll for the vote. Mr. Barber? Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Spoon?
Yes.
And Mr. James?
Yes.
The item is approved by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. We appreciate your support.
Okay, so a lot of activity, knowledge is shared, all the wonderful things that she and her team are doing. But wanted to provide an opportunity for Autumn to share some of the work that has been happening as it relates to small business development support. We have a number of grant programs you're aware of, but there's a lot of other things going on programming wise and event wise that we wanted to share. So now, Autumn has a few slides she's going to run through and update you on.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. I'll be covering 2 of the EDA grants, the Smart Start Business Development Grant, the Smart Start Acceleration Grant, and the training programs that I've been working on since October. So I'll start with Smart Start Business Development Grant. So for FY24, starting in July, we had 57 grant applications that we received. Of those 57, 42 grants were approved. To date, 28 grants were awarded. We just completed our 3rd round, which ended January 31st. So that 3rd round of applications are still under review, and that grant will not be counted until we are still going through those grant applications, and they're being awarded. So that 28 grants awarded will be increased in the next couple weeks. So to date, of those 28 grants, $71,980 were approved, and so far 53,980 have been awarded to. For this round, we had 19 grant applications received, 13 were approved. Thus far, there's still a few under review, and to date, there are 18,000 that have been approved that will be going out the door in the next couple weeks. Of those 13 approved, 76% were, SWAM. They were 6 women-owned business. There weren't any veteran businesses as well, and there were 8 minority-owned businesses.
So of those, these, business development grants, we've been allocated $100,000 for the fiscal year. And you can see, we're looking to deploy all of that. I think we're doing a really excellent job. Autumn is, working hard to try to promote this program and get those monies out the door and, into the hands of these small businesses, that are setting up shop in Portsmouth.
Yes, we have one more round to go that will open April 1st, and we intend to spend all the funds by that time frame. So the Smart Start Business Acceleration Grant, this is our $5,000 reimbursement grant, so the recipients will receive 8% of, the money they spend. So, to date, for fiscal year 24, we had 18 grant applications that will be 5 of those grants were approved. One so far has been awarded, so that means that the participant spent $5,000, up to $6,000, and received $4,509 back. For this round 3, 6 grant applications were received. 2 so far have been approved. So that is $10,000 that will be funded for those 2 grants once they receive. Once they return their receipts, we reimburse them 60%, 8% of what they spend. Of those participants, the swim participation was 100% thus far, and they were minority business owners. Any questions for the micro grants? So, the training schedule, since October, we have focused our trainings around, preparing businesses to be eligible for our EDA grants, and also, getting businesses prepared, to be eligible for government certification and, be in a place to be able to bid on contracts when they become available with the city. So we have done, EDA, we, incorporated EDA business investment grant information session, that goes over all the involvement with the grant and how to apply. We have been partnering with different organizations that assist with like the Small Business Supply and Diversity. Angela Barber has been doing one-on-one business counseling sessions, and she's been offering SLAM certification sessions. At our office, we have partnered with CBMSDC. They do Minority Business Enterprise Certification Information Session. They will actually be here at 12 o'clock to do their second session in our office. We have been conducting business plan courses. So with the grant requirement, one is to have a complete business plan. And we saw that was an area that the businesses need improvement. So we've been providing business plan courses with the Small Business Development Center. And a lot of these courses are reoccurring every round that the grants reopen. We recycle the EDA Business Investment Grant Information Session, the business plan prep, and have recently incorporated some new trainings. We did Gov 101, Are You Ready? With Apex, formerly PTAC, conducted that training last week for federal certification. This is just a few trainings we've been doing. This is 9 total. Today we'll make our 9th training since October. So our future trainings and events that we would like to incorporate, we will continue again to do the EDA Business Investment Grant Information Session and the business plan preparation courses. So because our next round is April 1st and March, we will start preparing businesses to get ready for that grant round. We are incorporating a tax with tax season around the corner. We want to get businesses prepared, especially startups that aren't familiar with the tax process, to learn how to prepare their taxes. So VBOC is bring in a tax, person to conduct that training for us. In April, we will have a SWAN certification session again and one-on-one business counseling with small business supply and diversity. We have been in communication with Portsmouth Housing Authority. They have some, RFPs that are out that they need assistance with filling their MBE requirements. So they're gonna hold a how to do business with Portsmouth Redevelopment and Housing Authority. That will take, that will be in place in April. We will have PTAC coming again and do how to market to the government. And, we've also seen, that our businesses aren't necessarily ready for lending, so we wanted to get them, reared up to if they are presented with an opportunity that they can, be in a place to actually be eligible for a loan. So we have Dollar Bank, conducting a credit management course in April as well. So May is Small Business Month, and we want to, incorporate some events and trainings that will celebrate our businesses in Portsmouth. So what reared up this conversation was actually, a conversation with Hampton Roads Alliance. So Amy and I participate in the PRE meeting quarterly, and Hampton Roads Alliance is going into every city, with that city economic development and, acknowledging 3 to 4 businesses in that city. So, a date hasn't been chosen yet, but in May, we will acknowledge 4 of our top, businesses, and city representatives and state representatives will go to that business and award them, and acknowledge them for their, contributions to the city. So that will be one event we have in May. And some other ideas, are in a small business block party, on High Street, on a Saturday, and, just celebrating the different businesses down High Street. A lot of businesses on this first, block get a lot of recognition, but we want to extend it down to Effingham and bring more acknowledgement to all the businesses, in Old Town, and have the different businesses have activities going on that would drive traffic to their business, along with the music event. And then we want to have, a weekly, event. The location is the High Street Ferry Landing, where Sunset Thursdays used to occur. We would like to have a weekly event at that location that will bring opportunity for vendors, so have like a music event. I know Mr. Mitchell spoke about fashion show, possibly wine festivals, just something different that Portsmouth doesn't see regularly, that will drive attraction to Portsmouth and exposure to our businesses. So every week we would like to hold that event. We're hoping that that will continue on throughout the summer, at least once a month. The last week of Small Business Month, we would like to have a networking and resource there at Bloom Co-working, where we can have, different resource partners come in, have businesses come and, meet those different resources, have training events going on at the same time. So we have a lot planned for Small Business Month. And then June through September, again, have these events and festivals occurring at least once a month. And then in the summer, so I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but something in the water has been moved to October. So what from conversations I've had with different, residents and business owners, something in the water is not affordable. So we had the idea to do a watch party at the pavilion, for those 3 days, that it occurs, where residents can come in, with their families and be able to watch the festival. But at the same time, there will be vendors giving our businesses the opportunity to sell, and take advantage of that opportunity. The ones that aren't chosen to actually exhibit, in Virginia Beach, can have an opportunity here in Portsmouth. No, that's a mouthful.
Autumn, give us the status on the Bloom shops that I think ready to open up, and what businesses are going to be in there, and kind of give us sort of a update.
Yeah, so soft launch is planned for, I believe it is March 28th.
Yeah.
I can check when I get back to my computer. So the soft opening will be toward the end of March. We, approved 18 applicants. We had 22 applicants. The goal was to have 20. So we reopened the application last Monday. It will close this Friday, hoping to get those remaining applications in so that we can, have the 20 count or more that we desire. We will have a ribbon cutting that date. We're still waiting confirmation, for that specific date, but we will invite everyone here, so that you can be a part of that opening. So right now the build out is occurring. So all of the items have been ordered. The build out should be completed by the end of the week. It's we're almost there.
Okay.
Also, you are offer a lot of different sessions, which is really, really great. Interested in what has, in your estimate, has been the attendance rate of small businesses coming to the sessions?
So it's typically between 20 to 30 that register. We typically get half. So usually around 14, 15 has been our standing number. So we've been doing pretty good with participation. What I've seen, before I came here, at the Hive is most of the participants were from Portsmouth. So it's definitely a need for the training to be held here. And, just from communication with the business owners, they are very happy to have it, local, and they don't have to travel to Virginia Beach for this type of training. So it's been doing pretty good.
And I think you're, for the most part, offering that in person and virtually.
Yeah,
correct?
so we do a hybrid setup. Investor instructor, prefers to not do the virtual piece. We have offered all the trainings virtually and in person, just so we can reach as many people as possible.
Commissioner Brown,
Is there a licensing fee involved with streaming something in the water at the pavilion?
So, I have been in communication with the company water representative, and we have to get those details. Last year, it was streamed on YouTube, and you can watch it for free. So, we have to get like confirmation if we would be able to do that at the pavilion, but we're hoping that they will allow us to do that.
one of the areas that, I heard last time when we were giving out the checks is how to use social media to expand your business, the business to consumer. Are there going to be any programs to help them with how to leverage social media?
Yeah, we do intend to do marketing. Right now, everything is been focused around the government certification. So that, how to market to the government will have a social media component in it, but we will have trainings moving forward that are specific, that are open to all businesses, not just businesses interested in government contracting. We've been trying to do 2 to 3 trainings a month and focus on the areas that are, in high demand with our minority business enterprise numbers being so low with the disparity that I felt that was a high priority. So as we get start to increase those numbers, then we can filter in other training. But yeah, marketing is definitely, on the list to do.
It'd be great to take a small business and have them work with one of the universities as a project, leveraging social media and collection of data to see if they could get some growth there. Be good for us and good for them as well.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great idea. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I take over?
I think the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I am going to give you an update on our real property investment grant program. So just talking about the program before I get into 2 applications that I have for you. Year to date, I have received 20 grant applications. 13 of them have been approved. 3 of them have been awarded.
Just a reminder, the Real Property Investment Grant Program has a 120-day time after they're approved to finish the project. So that's why you'll see not many of them have been awarded yet. We're still within that 120 days for several of them that were approved from the October round. And actually those dates are coming up the beginning, middle of March. So I should have a better update for you next month than the awards going on. Of those 13, $190,619.50 is what you approved. $21,088 is what was awarded. Our MWBE participation for the 3 rounds total was 70%. We had 3 women-owned businesses, 1 women and minority-owned, 7 minority-owned, and 3 veteran-owned. And I do apologize, they're not all businesses that apply for these. Some of them are property owners as well. For this 3rd round, January 1 through 31, I had a total of 6 grant applications. I have approved 3 so far, 2 more for you today. And of those 3, the funding approved was $19,735, 83% MWBE participation, only 1 woman owned, 1 veteran and minority owned, and 3 minority owned. I think we're doing a great job at this program. You have $300,000 allocated to this one, and almost reached 200,000.
Yeah.
So hopefully, fingers crossed, we can extend your entire building and maybe come back next time and ask them. Do y'all have any questions on me? So I have 2 applications for you. My first one is for 215 High Street. This is across the street. This is actually an applicant that you've seen before and twice already. However, the last time we approved him for an almost similar amount, he lost a tenant, which lost revenue, so he couldn't go through with this project. So he canceled his own application. But he's back now. This is Dominion Drones Tech Company, and if you noticed, he actually has a new tenant, RT Fabrics and Home. If you haven't been in, beautiful. But specifically for his address of 215 High Street, he's looking to do an entire HVAC system replacement. It's a 30,000 square building, so it's a pretty big investment to replace the entire HVAC system. He'll be doing replacement and installation of interior and exterior doors, the painting of an interior hallway and an office space for himself, 1 toilet replacement, the replacement of a little bit over 1,000 square feet of flooring, and restoration of building support columns on the 2nd floor. His total project cost for this round is $40,728. His grant request is only $17,460, which is the remainder of his allowable funding for 215 High Street. So it's only a 43% reimbursement. A couple of photos for you. This is where he will be doing replacement and installation of interior doors. The 2 on the left, I believe they're upstairs, actually, on the 2nd floor. And if you recall, this used to be Crockett Furniture. So the 2nd floor was set up as rooms where you would go in and kind of shop for furniture as an actual room. So living room, bedroom stuff. That's why it looks like that. The photo on the right is downstairs in Dominion Drones Tech. And that is back where he does the building of the drones as well as the shipping, and he's got all of the storage. To the left is the rear door that used to lead you into Dominion Drones Tech Company, and I use the front door. The toilet replacement was kind enough to splash with the photo. And then the photo on the right is part of the flooring that he would like to get replaced, which is downstairs at his office. That's a 3rd set. To the left is his office space where he would like to do the painting, and then to the right are the columns upstairs that he would like replaced. I believe there are not replaced, sorry, restored. There are 4 of them. Any questions for 215 High Street? This was so many photos. I had to pick and choose.
But you can obviously see a lot needs to be updated here. So a wise use, I think, of the program to modernize the building and hopefully help fill it out with additional tenants.
Yeah.
He's working on a tenant for the 2nd floor because it has the roof set up. He has a photographer who's interested in it. So she does door photography and then the different studio space upstairs. So I'll move on to my 2nd application. which is 2330 Portsmouth Boulevard. I'm sure many of you have driven past. It is Beauty Masters. It is one of the biggest beauty supply suppliers in Portsmouth, actually. The scope of work is pretty simple. They need a new roof and new exterior siding on the entirety of the building. Their total project cost is only $29,250. He's requesting the 50%, so it's just $14,625. I pulled up a map just in case, but you can see that this is in the Charleston area. So they do have a need for new siding. However, being in a historic district, they have a few additional, not structure, but they have a few additional things to look at before they come back to us with the siding. I'm sure you all know what this looks like, but this is the siding in your place. He did state that it's over 20 years old, so this would be an entire refresh of the entire building, and the roof is over 30 years old, so he's basically replace the entirety of that. It's a straightforward application, but it is in the Charleston area, so you all know how important it is that area continue to remain beautiful, and that is what he's dedicated to. Any questions for this application?
Thank you.
Any follow-up questions or?
Can we vote on them together, or do we have to do them individually?
Yes, unless anybody has any objection to either one, then you can go together.
Move to approve both.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Barber. Roll. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Boone.
Yes.
And Mr. James.
Yes.
The item is approved by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Chair, we do have a need for a closed meeting. I do believe there is a copy of the closed meeting resolution with Vice Chair Barber.
Okay, I move to go into closed meeting pursuant code section 2.2-3711A.3 for the purposes of discussing acquisition of real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically regarding 1028 High Street, 1013 through 1015 Queen Street, and 400 Hatton Street, and pursuant to code section 22.37A.8 for the purposes of consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel, specifically regarding Harbor Center Court.
Thank you, Commissioner Saunders Smith. Read the roll. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Boone.
Yes.
And Mr. James.
Yes.
Item is approved by a vote of 6-0. Chair, we are now in a closed meeting.
I hereby move that each commissioner certify that to the best of his or her knowledge, only public business matters lawfully accepted from the open meeting requirements under the Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened, were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting just concluded.
Oh, second.
Thank you. Read the roll. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Boone.
Yes.
And Mr. James.
Yes.
Chair, the item is adopted by a vote of 6-0. We are now in open meeting.
I just had one thought. I don't know if our realtor friends, there were a number of shopping centers in Portsmouth that look bad. And I was wondering if there's any desire on the owners of those shopping centers to We provided some funding and they provided some funding to redo some of those shopping centers. I know in my conversation with the city manager, she felt that that would be a positive thing to do. Maybe we can target something in Churchland or, just to see what the temper was.
So stop grant from there or something like that.
Right.
Well, I can only imagine from the landlord's perspective, they would certainly be open to that if there, wasn't requiring or, reimbursement from their investment perspective. And I don't know if that's something that's qualifies in the real property grants or not, but it's probably an education of those landlords. This program may be out there or other avenues could be out there for, improvement grants.
Just to pursue it.
Yeah, we can, I think what we can do, because the real property investment grant, as it is today, does allow for that. In fact, it's been used, a number of times by, retail center owners, and tenants. I think in fact, we just did it out at the Victory West Shopping Center, for a number of, improvements there. But we can maybe, look at targeting specifically, a number of those centers, and making sure that they're aware of it with the
Right.
so that they could apply. In fact, Chris and I just talked with a group. They're looking at acquiring a center here in Portsmouth, and they've noted making some upgrades and exterior improvements. So we've discussed the program with them. So they're eligible. I think we can just try to target those that may be in need of some improvements and push there.
And we looked at it at the budget, we had a budget meeting, we talked about to see if we need adequate funds to do that. I think we do.
Certain signage upgrades, moving away from some of these box signs to what we call a raceway sign, those type of things to help with appearances on centers as well.
Yeah.
Lighting is something that it's been used for. In fact, the Farm Fresh retail center out at Victory Crossing just you awarded, I think, last month, a grant for upgrading all the lighting to LEDs to help with safety and security and the appearance as well. So I think we can probably try to push out some marketing information to the other owners in the city.
And even if you can't find, owners in LLC or whatever, it's hard to track down. If they, have a company that's actively leasing it, reaching out to those agents, letting them know that this could help make their job easier from a leasing perspective, that they can convey that to their owners as well.
That's right. Making them aware that there's the money. Yeah, many go. Yeah, not many.
I don't know if I grant on paper that maybe mine is what I'm thinking about may be different from other people's thinking. I'm thinking like Churchland Shopping Center, all the fronts being done so that it becomes attractive again. That's why I'm saying they would pitch in something and then we would pitch in something just to see what it was.
Every project's gonna be a little different and, some of it could be a major investment, not a small piece, but it goes a long way.
Yep. Well, I think what we can do in the process of doing the outreach is trying to get a feel for if there is an interest, at what level, if it's beyond what the existing program could support, then we could look at building in perhaps another category that would provide.
Well, we've got the economic development grant fund that could.
You do. You have,
Like $1 million?
you have other.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of, resource in that.
Yeah.
I was impressed, by basically the amount of work, that in our workforce development and in our small business development efforts that we've been able to accomplish. And I think it would be just helpful to take a look back and to say, because we really started these programs, relatively recently, and not just a couple of years ago. And so It'd be nice at some point in time to just say, hey, since the initiation, this is where we've come.
Yeah, do almost a return on investment
Yeah.
report.
To look at.
Yeah.
Or
return on activity.
I've heard Brian get that information to the mayor and the mayor regurgitate it before at certain events. So they do, that information is out there. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, something that you said, Matthew, was that sometimes it gets all muddled up with the city. It's like, not that we're not part of the city, but economic development has done so. Cause I think that is important, that because we're armed, there are a lot of other cities don't have this. So this is our opportunity to, say, hey, Portsmouth does great stuff, this is what we do for the citizens.
What we can do, because it's coming up and this might change what you've been working on, Amy, but, we do issue an annual report. And we can probably look to expand upon, some of the accomplishments in the annual report, to include the details, the data that, Autumn and Nala shared, earlier this morning and try to build that in and kind of showcase that a little bit more than we have. I think we've typically highlighted the programs, but I think I've done a real deep dive, but we could certainly look to do that in terms of, number of businesses served, residents served, and what some of the results and outcomes are of that. I think is a way that we could capture that and publicize it. And that is an economic, development report, not necessarily a city report.
And it was mentioned earlier with one of your staff members that a good targeted date is the Small Business Month. A lot of the media outlets are actually going to be looking for stories. And if you tie somehow that announcement to that date that I think was in what, May?
May.
Yeah.
The entire month.
The entire month, yeah. They'll, I hate to offer you up, Brian, but it'd be great to take you and a staff member on one of these noonday shows. And they'll be talking about small business development.
I think there's plenty going on.
Yeah. So
make a whole
I didn't want to add to your list of activities, so sorry about that.
Or even a commercial or something. Okay, I really do think we really need to highlight it. A spot. This is what's going on.
In addition to the quarterly updates, and you may have received it already, at least for the workforce development, but we are doing a quarterly newsletter. So that will be going out. I think you should have received an email. We're getting ready to send one out, I think, for some of the small business programming that we're doing as well, with a lot of the details that were shared and discussed earlier. So we're really trying to make a concerted effort to really get, the information out to the public about all the things that are being done and the resources that are available to the business community.
I think there's a lot of things we can do for marketing, and maybe that's something we can talk about in our next meeting in March.
Yeah.
Okay. We do have unless there are any other items that the commissioners would like to raise, I do have a couple of report backs that I just wanted to share with you all. The EDA Budget Committee did meet last Monday, February 12th, for our kickoff meeting. We are starting the process of planning for the FY25 operating budget, and I think we made some good progress. We're going to be working to update the budget, and our goal is to have a draft for your consideration at your March 19th meeting to go over. We've got plenty of time to finish the process. We're targeting right now an April approval time frame. So just making sure we have to have something adopted and in place by the start of the fiscal year, July 1. So we will be following up with the treasurer and Mr. James, who had agreed to serve as well on the committee to schedule our next meeting in the coming weeks. We do have another sponsorship opportunity that I wanted to bring to your attention. We appreciated your support of the youth build program, but we did get a request from Starbase Victory. They're having their 2024 Reach for the Stars Awards Gala that will be held at Rivers Casino on March 14th at 5:30 in the evening. They are looking for sponsors for the event, and they do have three different levels. They have a $500, $1,000, and $2,500 sponsorship level. The $500 lighting the way sponsorship provides for 2 tickets to the gala, and then recognition in the program. They have, again, higher levels of sponsorship that would provide for additional tickets. I think you can even add tickets to that if you desire. But if there is an interest in supporting, let me know. I would need to respond back to them pretty soon here as the date is approaching. So, yeah.
What's the levels? 500 is what?
There's a 500 lighting the way, which is for partners in education, government, and nonprofit. It provides for 2 tickets at $1,000. You're an innovator in the limelight. That provides for 4 tickets and then a half-page ad. $2,500 does a little bit more of the advertisement, but also provides 4 tickets. There's a $5,000 Galaxy sponsorship level. That's 6 tickets. And there's a $7,500 presenting sponsor level as well. They all provide just increasing items based on the donation.
I like to move that we sponsor at a level of 1,000.
Second.
Okay, and what we could do after we vote to move forward is that would provide for 4 tickets to the event. If there was a need to get additional tickets, if others would like to attend, we can certainly scan those individually. But with that, I will read the roll for a sponsorship in the amount of $1,000 in support of the 2024 Reach for the Stars Awards Gala. Mr. Barber?
All right.
Mr. Mitchell?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Boone?
Yes.
And Mr. James?
Yes.
Chair, the item is adopted by a vote of 6-0.
The keynote for that event is a retired space shuttle astronaut.
They did not have that information. That might have bumped some sponsorship.
You told us that before.
Get tickets, he should be a pretty interesting speaker.
Yeah.
I would like to attend.
That's not a Portsmouth only initiative, right? That's
Starbase is a Portsmouth
Starbase,
only
yeah.
initiative, correct?
if it's Portsmouth only, our sponsorship probably need to be higher than $1,000. If it's Portsmouth only, we're trying to get kids interested in CTE and technology. We should probably come in a little bit hotter, bigger advertising space, more visible.
I disagree with Money Man.
We already voted on it, but I'm just saying it's-
No, I get you.
the amount should.
They can reconsider the vote.
You could substitute another motion.
Yeah.
I guess we've already voted, but yeah. Yeah. So again, the levels of 500, 1,000, 2,500, 5,000, and 7,500.
And you said the 2,500 was a half-page advertisement?
The 1,000 is a quarter page, which you've already adopted. 2,500 gets you half a page.
And what though?
In the event program. And logo placement and pre-event marketing, including the website, social media, and on-site signage.
And I guess that would include all advertising leading up to the event as well?
Pre-event marketing, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that's correct. Yes, sir.
Cletus Cassidy is the MC that night too, so if you're a Cletus fan.
You want to make a motion?
I would make a motion to increase the level of sponsorship to 2,500.
Second, I'm okay with it.
It's easy to spend other people's money, but you want to do it logically.
Okay, before we take the vote, are there any other motions? Anybody would like to, submit or entertain here? Hearing none, I'll read the roll. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yeah.
Ms. Boone.
Yes.
And Mr. James.
Yes.
Chair, the item is approved by a vote 6-0. Okay. That is the last sponsorship item that we have for you today, but there was one other item that I did want to mention. Chris and I met with a gentleman with the group that is doing the rail yard redevelopment project in Norfolk off Hampton Boulevard. His name is Rich Meredith of Meredith Construction and Development. And Rich was kind enough to offer to host staff in the EDA on a tour of their project. If you all would be interested, I think there's some very good comparisons between what we're doing in the Innovation District and what they are doing over in the Rail Yard District in Norfolk. A lot of similarities, and I think might help with some of the visioning efforts that you're making right now as we're looking at acquiring property and leasing property, investing in our real estate portfolio. To go over there and maybe take a tour and see what they've done. I don't think there's anything wrong with borrowing and stealing ideas that have been successful in other localities. So what we're going to work to do is to get some dates from the Merediths and see if maybe we can coordinate a tour one afternoon. Typically, we would be doing that probably around 2:30, 3 o'clock after their construction crews leave for the day. So we'll look at the next 2 weeks and try to find a couple of dates that work well for everybody and circulate an email to get your ability to attend. But we thought that would be helpful, and it's pretty impressive what they're doing.
Like it.
Yes, and with that concludes our report backs. Chair, we have no other items for discussion.
Concludes our February 20th meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.